the Bald Ambitions podcast. I'm your still very bald host. Ho! I'm not the only bald one here. I'm the very bald host, Mookie Spit. And I'm thrilled to have the very bald Paul Fisher and the less bald Chris Clement. They are the CEO and COO, respectively, of Radiant. Welcome aboard, guys.
Such a pleasure to be here.
Honored to be with you, Mookie.
Thanks, Mook.
Thanks for joining us. Give us a little MO on what you guys are offering the world and why.
Chris, you want to take it, bud?
Sure. Well, it's our pleasure to bring the first ever Christian, truly Jesus-centric mobile plan to the United States. And Paul Fisher right there spent a year of his life banging down the door of one of the largest telecommunication companies in our country for the exclusive right to block inappropriate content. And so that's our MO. We're blocking inappropriate content before it hits a device at the tower level, not an app that you can get around. And it's really centered around protecting the family, especially the Christian family.
And let me just add one more thing if I can. It's about parental rights. We don't believe that any government, any media company, any entertainment company has the right to decide what type of content comes across our cell phone to ourselves as subscribers, and especially to our children. Nobody's going to tell me how to raise my child. Nobody's going to tell me the kind of content my 2 and 5-year-old can have. No government, nobody, just myself. And we created tools and technology to give parents the ability, the right to control the kind of content that comes into their phones.
In principle, amen to that. I believe less government is better government. And I've got a problem with cancel culture, censorship, any kind of interference between the individual and what they could or should do within the boundary of what we would consider the law. But what problem are you guys solving? So you talk about blocking, you talk about parental controls. What about the current telecom landscape precipitates what you would consider issues that you guys need to solve?
Yeah. Well, and Chris, you could take over in a second. Right now at this exact moment in time, about 57% of all kids between the ages of 11 and 13 years old right now are looking at porn. Right now. And 67% of that are going to stumble across it. And here's the problem. I don't want my kid's 5 years old. I don't want my beautiful Landa, my son, to actually stumble across pornography in the next 5 or 6 years. I don't think that's too cool. That's number one. Number two, when a young boy or young girl walks into their school, the government actually, one of the great things the government does is it blocks pornography and inappropriate content going over the internet into that school. They don't, by the way, block what's inside the library, which is kind of a whole nother interesting conversation, but they block it. But the second that child walks out of the school, it's a free-for-all. And our kids can get hit with any kind of content that's out there. It's like the Wild West. So what we're doing is we're putting a fence around inappropriate content. Our technology, first ever, and by the way, our technology blocks it before it ever hits your phone. And why we were so upset with all the telecommunications companies around the country is they had the ability to block inappropriate content, but they would not do it for obvious reasons. And so we're the first mobile plan ever that actually blocks inappropriate content before it ever reaches your phone. So what service we're providing very specifically is for the Christian family and soon coming the Jewish brothers and sisters. We have the ability through our technology that costs us a lot of money and a lot of time and energy to be able to block pornography, hate speech, anti-Semitism, how to build any reason why anybody needs to know how to build a bomb? We don't. So we actually have 9 hard blocks that if somebody signs up with Radiant, and we're on the T-Mobile platform, if anybody signs up with Radiant, we have 9 blocks. And by the way, people call it censorship. What right do we have to block pornography? What right do we have to block harmful drugs? Well, we have every right to block it because it's an opt-in. And then we have 120 categories that we think it's up to the mom and dad. and people kind of, 95 press outlets have been writing about us around the world, 27 different countries, because they think that we're blocking LGBT, we're blocking trans. We're not blocking those kind of content. We're not, but you are. We're giving the tools to the parents. If they want to block LGBT, if they want to block trans, we think that they have every single right to be able to do that. So we're about parental control, giving the rights to the parents to block or unblock what they want to block or unblock.
Yeah, I think giving the individual the right to do what they want with their digital communication, go for it. Again, if we're talking about cancel culture, if we're talking about censorship, it's usually seen through the government, right? You've got this umbrella entity. They make decisions for you as to what you should or shouldn't see. To
That's
your
right.
point, as a parent, okay, if you're empowering parents to be selective about themselves and their family, in principle, I say go for it. What
Thank you.
kind of
Thank you.
technology is operating here? So you've got the carrier, just like you mentioned, T-Mobile, and then you've got Radiant as a kind of filter, it seems. You guys are filtering what you're calling appropriate or inappropriate content. What exactly is going on? So if I'm a Christian family, to your point, a Jewish family, or to your point, just a parent who wants to put filters on their family in this kind of way, what am I signing up and into?
Well, you're signing up with a mobile plan, just like you are in a normal mobile plan. So if you're with T-Mobile today and you move over to Radiant, you're still with T-Mobile. You're still unlimited talk and text, 5G, no difference. But with us, you get cybersecurity at the highest level. We have a filtering program created by a company out of Israel called Allot. It's a Nasdaq traded company. It's one of the biggest, most powerful cybersecurity companies in the world. We brought them in. We brought them into the carrier, and it's their technology that we have kind of morphed and developed, and with them, and they were more about phishing and financial kind of issues and things like that, protecting people in regards to that. We had them focus on content, inappropriate content. So we have a partner they're called Allot out of Israel, and that is our filtering program. That is the technology that we use.
I've got Verizon on my phone, right? So to your point, if I had Verizon, how do I add this extra layer? What's going on here?
First of all, you'd have to switch from Verizon to T-Mobile. You'd have to go from
All right,
Verizon.
so that's what I'm getting at. Just pragmatically,
Yeah.
if you're a Christian family and you're listening to Bald Ambition and you love what Paul and Chris are saying, then you need T-Mobile to do that.
Well, you don't need T-Mobile. You need Radiant. And Radiant is www.radiantmobile.com. That's the website. You can pick us up in the Apple Store. But you would have to switch from Verizon to Radiant Mobile. If you're with T-Mobile, by the way, you have to switch from T-Mobile to Radiant. By the way, the switching takes 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's nothing. Can you keep your same phone number? Absolutely. Same everything. Now you're with T-Mobile. You're paying basically $30 a month, and you get our cybersecurity. You get our parental control features, which are, our parental control features are on steroids. Geofencing, geolocation. You know where your kids are 24/7. You can turn off the internet, turn on the internet. You could have quiet time, block time. Our technology has never been seen here in the United States of America ever. And then we'll get into it, I'm sure, in a little bit. We filled up the void with the most amazing Christian content one could ever possibly see. Stories of the greatest apostles and saints. We own the rights to basically every iconic character: Snow White, Cinderella, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Rapunzel, Tinkerbell, Little Mermaid. And those great iconic characters are telling Bible stories. And then we gamified the whole thing. So on one hand, we're a firewall at the highest level. On the second thing, we're parental control at the highest level. And then we're a streaming platform with incredible, incredible Christian content.
All right, so you're crossing the boundary from just a carrier, because I don't I don't get Disney
That's right.
content on my
That's right.
Verizon.
That's right.
Right? So you're more than just a carrier. You're a broadcaster as
That's right.
well.
That's right. Yes, sir. We're a cybersecurity company, firewall, kind of as a Trojan horse, looking like a mobile plan, and we are a mobile plan at the highest level. 5G. We're on the T-Mobile network. Can't get better than that. And we're a streaming platform. And 3 months from now, we're opening up the Dome, which is our Jewish mobile plan for our Jewish brothers and sisters. On Thanksgiving, we're opening up Foodie Mobile for our Foodie brothers and sisters. So we are opening up multiple branded mobile plans on the T-Mobile network for very specific communities. The first one, Christian. Second one, Jewish brothers and sisters. Third one, for the world of culinary.
All right, and I'll play devil's advocate for people whose hair, I don't have any here, is potentially bristling. Conceivably, if there'd be a trans LGBTQ network, would that fit into your line extension?
No, because we're people of faith.
Okay, all right.
Simple as that. And by the way, we built technology, Mook, to protect the LGBT and trans community. Hate speech. We're there to support our brothers and sisters that are, and we love our brothers and sisters in the LGBT and the trans community. We have no issues with them whatsoever personally. But we also say in the same breath that we have been asked by the Christian community, very profoundly asked, very very strongly asked, if we want to be able to block them, we have the ability to block them. So we're not anti-trans, anti-LGBT, or anything like that. We actually have technology to support them, to protect them. But at the same time, if a Christian family doesn't think that type of content is right for their children, they have every right to block them, and that's seemed to be very upsetting to the LGBT and trans community. That's they're shouting real loud that they don't like the program.
Well, it's understandable. This is politically complicated. In ways it's philosophically complex too. And I personally understand that people of faith like yourselves have certain boundaries that you put on what's considered certain types of behavior. I understand that. And as the libertarian in me, I believe that you have the right, as a parent, as a company, to filter whatever you want. That's my personal feeling. What fascinates me and what I'd like to get at is you're doing multiple things at the same time. On the one hand, you're providing a valuable, or at least perceived valuable, service to the Christian community in terms of providing Christians and their families, ensuring that they're getting content within the boundary of what we would consider acceptability. On the other hand, you're willing to do line extensions to other Judeo-Christian style boxes. So you mentioned the Jewish community. And then there's another line extension, if I got it right, which was the foodie community. So people are interested in particular hobbies or interests outside of that. But it's still selective, and it's still within your moral, ethical, overall framework as a Christian provider. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, each one of our mobile plans, they call them MVNOs, Mobile Virtual Network Operator. We are an MVNO. We are a mobile plan that sits on the T-Mobile network. And we're building out 5 of these, 5 different mobile plans on the T-Mobile network. The first 2, because Chris has spent 20 years in the ministry, and I'm a man of faith. The first 2 are very important to us because they are faith driven. We believe, and Chris teaches this to me every single day. He's one of my teachers. Is that being safe and having protective features is not exclusive to one faith. I mean, we're thinking about number 5. We're as part of a mobile plan, maybe we'll build one for the Muslim community. That's a possibility. Mm-hmm. We may build one for them. We feel that they deserve the same safety and protective features that the Jewish people do and the Christian people do. It's about safety and protection. And we feel that all people deserve safety and protection, that it's not a exclusive situation. We also, I know you want to jump in here, Chris, which you're going to in a second, is we believe that we've created a practical solution for a spiritual problem. Technology. And by the way, we don't think we are the solution. We think someone's faith is the solution. But we figured out a way through our technology and millions of dollars how to put a fence around certain type of content that we, as people of faith, don't really think we want our children or ourselves to be bombarded with.
Again, I clearly understand the mission, and I'm fascinated by there's the Venn diagrams that people do. You have your faith, your worldview, and then you have technology and its ability to slice and dice information. And to your point right now, it's just kind of a crazy tsunami. You could have a 5-year-old on Pornhub.
That's right.
I mean, this is just happening right now, and the damage or potential damage to generations of Americans, actually generations of people throughout the whole world, for the indiscriminate and total access to all the world's information has already been documented to be problematic at the least.
That's right.
So you have your faith, you have the control of content, and then you guys have a company with it all coming together, and I find it fascinating. So on the one hand, I understand you're getting some pushback, right?
Mm-hmm,
when you're cutting content from certain groups of people. But on the other hand, you've got other folks like Jonathan Haidt, who's made it a career of showing that screens are making us crazy. And you guys are like, enough already. You can't just see whatever the hell you want, anytime you want, at any age you happen to be. And we got to cut this shit out. We gotta
100%.
start enforcing controls. And the government is the last entity that we want doing this. And if you have private citizens creating a private company, you're not putting a gun to anyone's head to jump on the Radiant network. You're like, go for it. You're a concerned parent. You're even a concerned individual, and you've had enough of
That's
digital.
exactly right.
Then you guys are a possible solution. Am I framing this accurately?
Chris?
Very well. First of all, thank you for the privilege to be able to speak to you. Like Paul said, I've been 21 years in the ministry, and all I say that to mean for you is this problem of pornography has plagued the church at large at such a larger degree than you could ever understand. They don't have a practical solution. They don't have any way of really taking this out. So there's apps that you can create. There's whistleblowing that you can create. But wouldn't it be a brilliant strategy to remove the option before it ever became an issue? And that's just if it was behavior modification, which would change the world alone. But if you were able to stop seeds of pornography and inappropriate content from affecting the 12 to 15-year-olds who Paul quoted, over 50% will see pornography. A fascinating study I sent to Paul, I don't think he's seen it yet, is how many teenagers define pornography as what they think a healthy marital relationship is or sexual relationship. That can't possibly be good or right. And all I'm saying is, and this is, I promise you, the only time I'll preach to you, Jesus talked about if your eye or your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it out. It'd be better to do that and enter the kingdom of heaven maimed than to burn. And all I'm saying that is to say this: we have an option to cut it out. Just cut it out. That doesn't align with our faith. We don't want it. And I think the most beautiful part of what we're doing is challenging people to think someone should be able to say, I don't want this. The App Store gets to decide what apps live in it. There's so many other regulations. Why can't I say, hey, listen, I don't like this kind of music. I don't want to listen to it. It's never going to get in my playlist. I don't like Screamo. I can't stand it. When I go to the gym at 3:45 or 4:45 in the morning and they're playing it, I will literally freaking walk out if I don't have my headphones. I don't want to fucking hear it. And so it's one of those things that drives me insane. And I use that language to shock you because it bothers me that much. And I was walking out of the gym the other day and I was like, this is something that I cannot stand. If I never heard it again, I would probably be good. And I kind of felt the analogy with some of what we're doing. There's some people, especially in my demographic and people group, who do not want this anywhere near them, their house, or their family. Remove it, please, or at least give me the option to remove it. That's it.
And just so you know, Mook, we're bringing this into the home. We developed a device called Phone to Home, brother, that the same cybersecurity is going to be hooked onto your home router. So you can, it's a full 360-degree solution. You can actually keep pornography, even if you want to keep social media, even if you want to keep fantasy football, for God's sakes, or LGBT or trans or whatever you want, brother, out of your home, your iPad, your laptop, your desktop, et cetera, et cetera. That's coming real soon. So it's not even just on your phone. We're bringing this into your home.
I think we're talking about two things, and they're not the same thing. The first is what Chris was talking about, which is the danger or potential danger to individuals, to families of certain types of content. Okay? So you mentioned pornography, and you jokingly say that might be music you hate at the gym, right? So let's go neutral on the content just for a second.
Sure.
Because it's a category of things that you enable people to control, right? And there's different types of this content, and you can argue all day long about those choices. The other part of this is the general agreement that we're all being bombed by garbage all the time, and that we don't have a mechanism for controlling it. That's systemic. Like you mentioned, there are apps you can put on. Even like Facebook has parental controls. And you know and I know that that's all bullshit. That's one-off, it's ad hoc, it's a pain in the ass, and it's just unrealistic.
100%.
If you are going to filter this stuff, you need a centralized hub to be able to do it, and you guys are doing it.
Yes, sir.
So I think people get mixed up when they mix up these two things. So an individual might think that I'm not Christian, and I don't know, I don't think porn is that big a problem. There's arguments to be made that, well, maybe it's educational and maybe it's a catharsis and maybe we'd have even bigger problems without it. I'm not arguing that right now. I'm merely saying there's two sides to every coin. There's the other aspect, both the business aspect and even the logistical aspect, which is equally legit, I think. You guys are offering, for the first time of what I hear, a carrier-based service that could actually filter particular types of content. So just like you were mentioning, Paul, you're doing line extensions beyond just Christian programming. So that's in bucket number one, which is like, we're tired of this shit and we want more control and the government is not going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm the head of this household and my family's going to see what I want them to see. Who can argue with that? That seems pretty legit. And on the other side, and on the other side is it's a more sensitive topic because the discussion becomes, well, what are you filtering and why? So that's why I love talking to you guys, because both of these are coming up in our conversation, and I'm sure you guys are getting some pushback because it's getting mixed up, I think, in people's minds, which is you guys are censoring content which is only Christian and it's hateful because you're excluding certain groups.
Yeah, right? You're close to being right. You know, first of all, we are getting a lot of hate. You know, we are, myself personally, as Chris knows, I own a beautiful home in Los Angeles and in Nevada, and I have to, move out of my place in Nevada so I can go into a gated community. And the reason being is because of, the interesting things that are coming across our email and the threats that we're getting. You
All
know,
right. See, that's why I'm bringing this up. Is I think these things are getting conjoined.
Yeah, it's
Right.
overwhelming, Mook, because number one, like I stated at the beginning of the conversation, brother, we're only really blocking 9 categories. We do have 120 other categories that we start off in a block position, and people can go in and unblock them. So we're just standing on one big mountaintop. Yes, we're blocking pornography. Yes, we're blocking harmful drugs and racism and anti-Semitism. Those are givens. You know, somebody should not sign up with our service if they even want that kind of content. But everything else, we just think the parents deserve the right to make those decisions. You know, one of the greatest articles written about us was from a libertarian, I think it's a libertarian magazine publication, which I loved. I really love it, called Reason Magazine.
Yeah, I love them too. I used to fist pump with their editor at large, Nick Gillespie.
My brother, they wrote something about us, and this always stuck out in my head. And I know I'm going to get it a little bit wrong, but they said, you know, we thought they were going to beat us up, and they didn't. They said free market society. That we are doing this. We're providing a service. It's an opt-in service, and we have every right to offer a specific community the right to decide, not a government, to decide what type of content they want, not just for themselves, but definitely for their kids, definitely for their children. And that's all we are, is we're in a free market society, and we have created a service for the Christian community. And this is what the Christian community has asked of us. Create this, you guys, in a way where we have the right to decide what content we as individuals come across our cell phone, and before it ever gets there. And we built it. It took us a couple of years and a few $1,000,000, but we built it.
Hashtag respect for that. And what I'm trying to do with this bald-headed hocus pocus here is categorizing this in a way that makes sense, which is form and content, business, individual rights, group rights, and nobody's putting a gun to anyone's head to use Radiant or not to use it. And I love the opportunity that you guys are creating for a group of people, regardless of their beliefs, to control this tsunami of bullshit for themselves and their families. And I might or might not believe in the categories of content that you or your customers are choosing to select, but I will defend to the death your right to be able to offer this service and for your customers to choose whatever the hell they want to see. Who the hell else is going to do this? Are we going to say the government is going to force you guys to share content? Get out of here. That's an oppression in its own way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mookie, one of the most fascinating things that I've heard, you know, since meeting Paul, it's these two things. It's about time. And that's one of the greatest ideas I've ever heard. And here's why I say that to you. It should not be revolutionary or crazy to determine what you watch. And all I'm saying is, for my people group, they have Christian bumper stickers, and they have Christian bathroom shower heads. They put Christian on everything. And some of that it's tongue in cheek. I don't go for all that. It's kind of weird. But to be able to actually say, I don't have to be afraid. I mean, Paul normally starts conversations. I have 6 children, okay? Paul looked at his cell phone, sees his kids, and goes, there's no way I can entrust this rabbit hole, like this abyss to a child. And then you run into some situations that are intensely practical like mine. I'm not as concerned, although I have 6 kids and the statistics probably play out that there might be 1 or 2 of them in there already in problems. I can't go there as a dad right now. But the geolocation, the geo-tracking, knowing where my kid is. Why would you give a 9-year-old a cell phone? Because you have a wife and 5 other kids that are halfway around the world, traveling, doing other things, and I got to know where they are. And a phone that is either doesn't work, or I can't get the kid, I can't call the kid. I can't do that. So I have to have a way to communicate with them. So you get put in this really practical problem where, how do I How do I have a normal life with any level of confidence? Because I don't have any confidence in it. And this is the first solution that I have seen, and I'm sure and hope to be the first of many options. It's the first one that can actually give you some level of confidence that these things do not touch that kid's phone. That's it.
I'll bring up a couple other buckets for you
Sure.
gentlemen and our viewers and listeners, which is security. That feeling of security that you're describing, Chris, and the feeling of security, Paul, that you were bringing, that you know where your kids are and you know what they're doing with the help of this device, so this thing becomes helpful instead of hurtful. And then knowing that they're not being exposed to content that you don't think they should be exposed to. I feel more at ease as a parent, as someone responsible for these people, and control. So in order for you to give me the security that'll make me feel better, you're giving me more control. And the reason I bring this up is this is another point of contention, because someone's got to be the decision maker. And when you start giving people more control, then there's the tacit assumption that it creates opportunities for its own abuse. So can you guys talk a little bit about some of these concerns? And it's multifaceted. So on the individual family level, dad, mom become godlike, and maybe they should be because it's their purview, and that's understandable. But again, opportunities for potential abuse. And in a broader macro sense, by filtering content, you are further creating more and more nuanced and fragmented information ecosystems. And there's a concern for that as well, which is, groupthink, bubble think. People are now having trouble with marginalization. There's misinformation and the capacity for disseminating that. So when feathers are being ruffled, right, and emails are being sent to you guys, I think this paints some of the rationale behind it. Again, that connection between security, providing a valuable service, and introducing these potential problems of abuse.
I just recently moved to Nevada, like I mentioned, from California.
I'm an OC guy, and I lived in New York
Orange County.
13 years.
Okay,
I gotta get out of here.
In your state, which has been my state, because I was born and raised in California, went to UC Santa Barbara, grew up in the San Fernando Valley.
I was in the Valley for a while too. That was its own trip there. And yeah, I'm glad you survived.
Oh, brother, but I know that there's laws or some things that are being implemented, or maybe, God willing, taken away, that a 12-year-old can make a lot of decisions. They can decide, what they want to do with their bodies at the age of 12 years old. It seems like mom and dad's rights are diminishing in certain parts of our country. And that, to me, is truly, I don't have a 12-year-old. Chris is a superstar. He's got 6 kids, but and probably a kid, there's just, based on percentages, he's probably got a 12 or 13-year-old because he's got 6 of them spread out. But I got a 5 and a 2-year-old. But I can't imagine when Landon's 12 years old that he has certain rights as a 12-year-old to make certain decisions. I just think that's insane. I'm a parent, and I want the best for my son and my daughter, and I don't think that at the age of 12 years old they can make a decision of what's the right type of content, what's the wrong type of content, what's the right thing to do for their body, what's the wrong thing to do for their body. And by the way, somebody else can have a different opinion than that, and they have every right to have that opinion. Every right. Who's right, who's wrong, who cares? But we have a right to have this kind of an opinion. And the people on my team and the people we're trying to service, that's what they believe. that the parents should have the right to make these decisions. I don't think the 12-year-old's paying for this phone plan. I think the parents are paying for the phone plan. So if they want to do whatever they want to do, go get a job, buy your own phone plan if you want. If that's your trip, that's your trip.
Amen to that. I'm a parent. I have 2 boys. I can't tell you how many times we've gotten to that point. You know what? I'm paying the rent, guys.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we know a little bit, because of our age and what we've been through in our lifetimes, to think that a 12-year-old has more wisdom than his father.
Wow.
Not in my household, sir.
Even the biggest skeptic listening to Bald Ambition at this point will be like, yeah, Paul, you're right. Where do I sign up? So brilliant, and I'm on your page. But the other potential issue, and what I'm trying to get at, is if you have this much control over content, there's political opportunities here too. We live in an increasingly polarized society, all right? And we're all bubbled up. You got the left and the right, you got the MAGA, you got progressive. I'm not playing politics here, and I'm not choosing sides. I'm merely illustrating that we not only have the problem of information overload in our society, but we've got extreme fragmentation, bubbling up microsystems, and we're not listening to each other. We're not talking to each other as a country. And by enabling people to be even more selective about their content, okay, you can't even get that shit on my phone anymore. And I'm assuming when you're putting in filters, you're operating off of keywords, right? You're programming in platforms that you're banning. I mean, I'm a techie. I know digital. You're eliminating big groups of content by these filters. And one pushback, which I'd like you to share with us, is, are you guys perpetuating or even fueling an endemic American problem, which is increasing cultural, political, and social fragmentation and polarization with this?
Wow, it's a great concept. A great question. Never been asked that question before. It's possible. Yeah, it's a strong possibility. We just feel, because we're people of faith, that if you have an alcohol problem, why would you live across the street from a bar? And I think we believe, as people of faith, that we have this thing inside of us, whether it's lust, whether it's, selfishness or control, judgment, and all these various different things. And so, why not put a fence around certain things that we have the ability to put that fence around? So is that meaning fragmentation? Does that mean, controlling content? We believe that we're not. We believe that the parents are controlling the content. We believe the parents have the right to, if they want fantasy football in their life, they should have it. If they don't have to have it in there. I just think it all goes back to parental rights. So are we, it's a possibility that we are doing that. It really is, Mookie. I think it's a brilliant point that you bring up, but parents are opting in for that. They're opting in to have that more of a way they want to live their lives. And that, to me, is a free market society, that we all can choose the kind of lives we want to live. If we want to live in a neighborhood that's got a porn shop on one corner and a bar on another corner and a strip club, that you have every right to live your life with those things across the street, just like you have every right. Somebody asked me, we were doing this interview, Mookie, for MIT. It was an interesting conversation. And he kept going back to the LGBT and the trans kind of a conversation. And, are you censorship? Are you gatekeepers? Are you this? Are you that? And he brought up an example. He said, Yale University. If Yale University has a subsection of their magazines or their newspapers that really are pro LGBT and trans, yes. Does our system pick that up? And do we give the parents the right to block that? Yes. And then they said, well, are you going to block Yale's newspaper? And the answer was, well, we're not going to block it, but the parents have the right to block it if they inundate the front page with LGBT and trans. And we always keep going right back to that once again, that we feel families have the right to decide the type of content they want. Is that fragmenting, creating division? You know, I'll say this, I'll close with this. Do they got a desktop? Do they got a laptop? They want to dive down into certain places of content. They have every right to do so. We're just saying you can't do it on that. But there's other forums and other platforms that they can reach out to if that's important to them. We're just saying the thing that's controlling not controlling, but what we're living with 24/7. Let's put up some guardrails and let the parents decide what those guardrails should be. Whatever that should be, whatever they want. They want trans, they want LGBT, they want fantasy football, they want gaming. They live it out. Have a nice life. No judgment. I love you. But if you don't want it, we have technology that will keep it out of your consciousness.
I applaud your candid, honest, and heartfelt response, because you just said, well, maybe, it might lead to more fragmentation. It might lead to more polarization, but there's a price to be paid for everything, right?
I think so.
And if you give parents the power and we create ever more and increasingly strong silos, well, there's a counter reaction to that too. So just like you're saying that you can go to your laptop or other places for information, right? But as a dad, I got this. I'm paying for this, and you're seeing what I want you to see, and that's tough shit. And you're enabling that to happen. Same way other companies will provide parents with other guardrails and services.
And that's coming from a guy, Mook. If you know anything about my background, that I was one of the architects of the smut business. I've been the personal agent. If you name a very, very, very famous supermodel, I was probably their agent. Naomi Campbell, Stephanie Seymour, Carrie Otis, Monica Bellucci, Carla Bruni, Brooke Burke, Kimberly Simmons, the Hiltons, the Gettys. I can name 100.
I don't really know.
Yeah, I can name 150 stars that I've been the personal agent of. I was the architect, one of the architects behind some of the greatest campaigns of the last 30 years. The industry that I helped was a big part of, created the over sexualization, the selfishness of everything that we're seeing right now. And then I lost my sister to cancer, my little sister, and then I had my first and second child. And I said, what the hell am I doing? What am I propagating? What am I supporting? What am I building? And then every time I go to bed at night, I look at my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old, and I said, Dad's going to do something real cool for you kids. I don't want you to remember me by the guy who starred in a television show. I want you to remember me by somebody who really, really cared about you and Chris's kids and every other kid in the United States of America and someday around the world. I don't believe allowing children to see inappropriate content. I mean, I could quote you numbers of dysmorphia, anorexia, suicide rates, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to bore your readers and your listeners to that, but the numbers are running rampant, and there's a disease going on, and it happens to be in a thing called the internet. And there's got to be some kind of guardrails on that darn thing. And we've come up with some technology that can help create the guardrails. That's all. And it's opt-in. People want the guardrails. Great. If you think the guardrails are silly because you want your kids in a free-for-all out there, God bless you. You have every right to do that also. Myself personally, Chris, that's not the world we want for our children and ourselves. That's all.
Wow. I'm still kind of on your fragmentation concept. It's a lot to think about. I just maybe would say this, there could be, I don't know if it's exact, 170 million Christians in America. It's a pretty large fragment. And I only say it that way because the challenge that I've run into in my sphere of influence is if you said that number, 170 million, how many people in that category that call themselves Christians that use the Bible as a foundation for living, that's what a Christian is, more than half would be plagued with pornography. This is a challenge. This is a challenge. And I've sat in service after service, year after year, watching the next generation have multiplied problems because of how much the internet has grown and how vast it is as far as what they're exposed to, how quickly, offer really no solution. And so, I'm an eyewitness expert to the issues that are inside of the church at large. I'm not talking about just one. And I know they don't have an answer. And when I'm talking to them, I know they don't have an answer. And one of those statistics that's so fascinating out of Barna is 70% of pastors would say they had an issue or know of an issue close to them with pornography. And of the churches that are actively trying to have a strategy against it, only 9 to 11% have a strategy. That's a big gap. I just want to be some part of filling the gap. And, as much as I would even hear the conversation that people could have a different opinion of pornography, find me one beneficial study that it's done to any person. Find me one. It would be interesting how much damage it's done compared to that. And I just think, if you're paying for it, I'm paying for it. I'm actively giving my money for it. I should have some right to talk about what the product I have is. Right now, there's nobody saying there's any option. We pick carriers just because it's faster or cheaper. We wanted to come after consumers and subscribers with content, safety, and real value.
I appreciate the candor from both of you. And Paul, your story is deeply moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a born again moment for you that not only culminated in a sense of personal enlightenment, but you're putting your business acumen and your proven skills into that new self of yours. And that's deeply admirable. You're a get it done kind of guy, and you're getting it done through the lens of the values that
I appreciate that. So, my agent at WME, when I've been starting a TV show for the last few years called I Can Make You a Supermodel. I would go into rehabs, homeless shelters, find kids off the street. And 6 weeks later, you'd see those kids walking for my clients, Prada, Gucci, Calvin Klein. And I stopped doing my TV show. I dropped all my superstar clients. After a year into this, my wife looked at me and goes, "How are we going to afford our home, Paul? Are we going to make it, Paul?" I didn't really know the answer, to be perfectly honest with you. But I knew that I couldn't sleep at night. I knew that I had a job to do. And something was calling me and screaming at me. And so Chris and I went on this mission together to make change in the world. And it's pissing off a lot of people. And at the same time, I'll close with this. We get phone calls from church leaders, rabbis, incredible pastors that say, "We're praying for you."
Mm-hmm.
That say you have the kingdom behind you. That thank us for what we're doing. They pray with us. And I can't tell you how much strength and courage that gives us to continue on when I'll wake up tomorrow morning taking a beating from a lot of people out there. But we're like pit bulls, Chris and I. We will not stop. We will not stop, sir.
Well, I say God bless, and it's coming from an agnostic libertarian.
I love that
podcaster.
I will take that all day, Mookie. All day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. God bless you, sir. God bless
and
you.
I appreciate your candor too, Chris, in terms of solving these problems. And as I brought up before, you guys aren't alone in this. There's a lot of secular pundits and experts. I brought up Jonathan Haidt before. You guys are probably familiar with him. If not, check him out. He agrees with you guys 100,000% with the damage that the internet has caused.
It's great.
Where people bring up problems or objections is in how we go about solving those problems. And the other thing that I personally admire here is that you guys are just going for it through to the Points Made in Reason magazine. You guys are a company. Use them or lose them, go for it. And here's the other thing, and this might help you, maybe give you a little more ammo too, is that there's always counter forces in our society. And that's one thing that makes America great. Just like you were mentioning, Paul, you could have a tattoo parlor, a gun shop, a liquor store on the street. We all just do our own thing. Let's all just mind our own business. And at the same time, I have a duty to protect my family and myself, and I'm going to do it my way. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So, live and let live. Do not tread on me. That's the American way, and God bless. And with that, there's this balancing that happens, and you don't need the government to do it, and you don't need self-righteous people with their own agendas to force it on anyone else. But you guys are starting Radiant, and you know what? You don't like what they're doing? Go start your own damn carrier.
That's right. Yes,
I mean, all of this outrage when people are really just trying to lead their lives in a way that they think is healthy for themselves and their family. Start the LGBTQ trans carrier network. Go for it.
Please.
Go for it. And look, you guys are like, okay, go for it, guys. Make it happen.
Fantastic.
And the gay and trans community have been doing this forever, right? Which is they make their own way. They make their own stuff. And then, they try to expand their message that way. Go forth and conquer. We're all Americans, and we all agree in personal freedom expressed through an open market. And if we honor those principles, then guys like you have every right and kudos to do what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
And I think it's great in your own way to go out there and represent your people.
Thank you, Mookie. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Privilege to talk to you, sir.
I want to give people the opportunity to learn more about you. And whether you're a Christian household or not, whether you're just curious, I think they should check you out. And I'm going to put links in the YouTube videos below and in the podcast for them to reach out to you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
I think that you guys are American.
Yes, we are, sir.
In the way that you're bringing this capability.
Yes, we are, sir. Yes, we love our country. We're doing some special things for the veterans and the law enforcement groups out there.
Military.
And we just really appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you so much, guys, and good luck to you. And maybe we can follow up in 6 months, a year.
It would be our pleasure.
Fox News is having a hard time. The other thing that I would love to talk to you about is your media extensions. You guys talk about content that you guys are creating. I mean, that's content is king and context is queen, right? Yeah. So you got programming that you're working on too. So it sounds like the beginning of a bigger vision.
I'll close with this. Our technology is something we're really, really proud of because it's on another level. Our content is life-changing. Our exclusive Christian content, we create all our own content. It's on another level. I hope you bring us back one day, brother. We talk about
that would be great. And just last question: is the content at least currently exclusive on your network? Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
And by the way, I'll close with this. Snow White, Cinderella, Pinocchio, Peter Pan. We're bringing these characters back to their original place, conservative values. A lot of people don't even like that statement, but that's what we're doing.
Again, I don't necessarily believe in the foundation of a lot of that worldview. My values might be different than yours.
That's my point.
But my point is it's irrelevant.
That's right.
You guys do you and rock and roll. And I think you have every right to do it. And especially if you've got the talent and cojones that you guys display, go for it.
We love you, brother. We love you. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much. What a good man.